introduced, well, I have talked about Cupid being a storyteller. I've talked about Mo and Q. We have gotten to the point of Mo and Q's relationship starting, then ending, and then Cupid feeling some type of way about that, going to go talk to God real quick about it, and then Cupid's friends show up to kind of give him some type of support because he's getting tired of this shit. And now we are at the point where Cupid's friends have, like I said, Cupid's friends have came and talked to him about it, and Cupid is kind of, you know, still doing his job, but he's just like kind of moving without spirit, moving without that I don't know what that's called. He don't have his what the hell ever. You know what I'm talking about. Alright. So page 43. Cupid also wrote up his 2 weeks notice. He was ready to go. He was ready to quit. Okay, he was ready to be out. So he wrote up his 2 weeks notice. However, he didn't sign it in. And like I said, he was just doing his job without adding his feelings into it. Mo and Q had even left his mind. He wasn't even worried about Mo and Q until he got this note in the mailbox. With this review, I'm not going in depth with this. I'm not going in depth about every little detail. So pick it up and read it for yourself. Because I'm gonna touch on it, but I'm not gonna touch on every little thing. So if you, like I said, if you haven't read the book, then by all means you can watch these reviews, but you're not gonna understand what I'm talking about per se, specifically. I'm a good explainer, but read it yourself. All right. So Cupid gets his letter in the mailbox, and it says to Cupid from Mo. I love this book, and I love the fact that I allow Cupid to be the storyteller because it allows me to tell the story from a spiritual aspect and also a physical aspect. Because you know, Cupid, he sees the physical world because he throws bow and arrows, and then he's also in the spiritual world because he is a work of love, and love is, you know, a spiritual feeling. So he gets this letter from Mo. His heart dropped. He didn't even know if he wanted to read it or ignore it. However, he was just so interested in getting a letter from Mo that he automatically opened it up. Now, Mo being Mo, and going through what she just went through, she just basically went through like a breakup in a situationship. So, if you know Mo, if you have read the book, and if you have listened to my reviews on this, then you know that Mo writing a letter to Cupid right now probably ain't gonna be the cutest thing in the world, and it wasn't. Mo told Cupid how she felt in a couple of sentences. She told him, long story short, stay the hell away from me. Now, when Cupid got that letter from Mo, he was absolutely fed up. And yes, I am gonna be talking a lot with my hands because I just love the fact that I got these on my hands. All right, back to the point. So yes, when Cupid got this letter, he teed off because he like, look, girl, if anything, I'm a little teed off at you, and you sitting up here coming at me like this. So he gets this letter, he read the letter, and he goes to God with the letter. As soon as he stepped up to God, he hand God the letter. Like, look at what she handed to me. She talking to me like this. She treating me like this. She feel like this towards me. I quit. Bumped the 2 weeks notice. Bumped the resignation letter. I quit. I'm out. God, like, look, honestly, Q, I feel you, but you got a year to come back and get your bow and arrows. And if after a year you don't come back, then this job is going to someone else. And Cupid is like, man, cool. I'm not, you know, Cupid probably thinking in his mind, I'm not coming back. But cool, give me a year, and I'm going on vacation. So while Cupid is leaving from God's presence, Love runs up to him. And she's like, yo, Cupid, what you doing? Like, how you gonna quit on me? Like, you know, it's me and you. We a team. And because I'm the writer, like I said, I have insight into my characters more than just what is stated in the book. So when Cupid decided to quit his job, he quit his job, number one, because he was tired of putting energy into something that just wasn't giving him what he wanted back. And also because Cupid has feelings for love. You will learn this in this chapter because of the way that Love gets Cupid to agree to this deal that they make, which I'm gonna talk about in a little bit. But Cupid also decided to quit his job because he cares for love, and if you care for someone, then you're not gonna bring things into their presence that harms them or misuses them or abuses them. You're not gonna do that. So Cupid felt like when he hits people with a bow and arrow and they mistreat that love, they are mistreating love. So he was also done with that. He was done with allowing people to have that connection through with love through him. He was over that. All right, so Love runs up to Cupid, and they talking like, "Oh, how could you quit on me?" Da 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 da. And then Love makes a deal with Cupid. She says, "Look, if you watch Mo and Q for a year, then and you decide not to go back for your bow and arrow, I'll go on a date with you." And Cupid is like, "All right, cool." So that's why I said you'll learn that Cupid has a crush on Love within this chapter. I have insight on the characters. So the reason why Love told Cupid to give her a year is because the main this is the main focus of the book, or I guess the main message of the book, or I guess one of the messages of the book is that love, even though you may not be with the person, love has such an impact on you that it causes growth within you. Love doesn't need you to be with the person that you are in love with or that you have love for, because love being able to just be inside of you and spark towards anybody means that you have the ability to grow. So that's what Love is trying to teach Cupid through this book, through Mo and Q. Alright, so we are in the next chapter. So I was back to watching Mo and Q. Remember, Cupid is the storyteller. So I was back to watching Mo and Q. The things were over with them. Q would still text her to see how she was doing. Mo was working on her character, so she texts him back. It's cute because we still get to see Mo and Q's personality. And also, as a reader, I'm glad that Cupid still has to watch Mo and Q, because I still want to know what's going on with Mo and Q. Of course, I want to know Cupid's process, and I like Cupid. I like that he is very honest. I like that he is speaking on how he feels about this topic. And I also like that he quit his job, because in the past, we're not going to talk about me. We're going to talk about these characters. All right, what was that? Okay, so yes, we get to see that Q is a very caring person, and he does like Mo. He's still checking on the girl after they done fell out and stuff, and Mo was working on her character, so she takes him back. She is a trip. Mo is a trip. The closer school got, the more Mo thought about how it be when her and Q would see each other. She had been learning that love doesn't leave when you're in a situation, nor does she care that you haven't claimed her. So I'm not about to read this whole chapter because I don't feel like it. But this is one of my favorite chapters, simply because of how much poetry is in this chapter related to love. Also how I talk about things that I grew up around, like Neosporin was around, and what else did I talk about? The movies that I talk about in this chapter. I talk about Love Jones a lot in this book. I love the movie Love Jones. First time I seen Love Jones, I was in high school. Yes, anywho. Yeah, I guess I did a little homage to Love Jones in there. So yeah, basically the whole point of the chapter is just to say that Mo and Q is still keeping in contact with one another. And Cupid is saying that these two kids, even though they ain't together, they still communicating with one another. However, as we already know, Mo was not cool with communicating with Q. She wasn't cool with it when things was good. Why would she be cool with it when things are not bad? So she's still trying to push this dude away. Summertime is over. Mo is back in town, but she didn't tell Q. Now Mo has an apartment. Now Mo lives off campus. Mo is becoming a big girl now. She's growing up. It's a new year in college for her. Okay. Another thing about this chapter that I really, really like is that I talk about Mo making a decision, that happens sometimes. It's about Mo making the decision to choose herself. Mo making a decision to choose herself in the situation with her and Q. Now, back when I did the review earlier on Mo and how she handled that situation, and now every day I grow as a woman. So my perspective has once again changed. When you are looking at things from a certain, communication is very, 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 very important. When I tell you this is a good book, this is a good book, and so is life, and you know, other things that I'm going through. Communication is very important. I feel like when in this book, when Mo and Q was in that room and Fear was walking around the room and Cupid told Mo and Q to talk to one another, I feel like he should have said communicate with one another, not talk to one another, but communicate with one another. Because I feel like even though Mo and Q were in one conversation, I feel like Mo was over here and Q was over there, and they were arguing about or talking to one another about two completely different things. Instead of saying what the problem was, they were talking about something else. They were talking about being in a relationship versus this is how I feel and this is what I'm going through internally because of what we're going through, and him and Q stating that this is kind of this love story or what Mo and Q, or the challenges that Mo and Q are going through, is kind of sort of unnecessary, because Mo could have opened her mouth a long damn time ago. But one thing that I didn't do in this book is say their specific age. It would have been helpful for me to say their age. However, it don't really matter what age a person is. I've learned that. I do hair, so a lot of people talk to me about their personal business. I'm not talking about my clients but a lot of people talk to me about their personal business. And it don't matter what age you are. A lot of people be going through the same stuff that Mo and Q went through. So even though I didn't state their age, which would have been good, I guess you really don't have to. Cause shit, it could be any damn age. Back to this chapter. In Mo's mind, when her and Q was talking, and he said that he didn't want to be with her, but basically he still wanted to have the benefits of her. This is what she's thinking during the conversation, that he doesn't want to be her boyfriend, but he still wants to have the benefits of her. She felt like he was making her choose between her and herself and him, which I completely understand, because in that circumstance, it kind of sort of can make you feel like you are kind of devaluing yourself, because you are allowing a man to have you without having to pay the full price of having you. Okay, that's something else that Queen has learned. I am growing up. And in this chapter, I talk about how she felt about making a decision. Now, as a woman who has been in situations like this, clearly, when you choose yourself over a man or over a job, or when you choose yourself and it leaves you with just being by yourself, even though you are a prize, it has its empty moments. It has its time where you're like, what the hell type of decision did I just make? Like, why did I make that decision? Now I'm by myself. Now I'm up in here and I ain't got nobody, with me. I don't have the comfort of ... So that's how Mo's feeling right now. She just moved back into the city. She just moved into her apartment. She's fixing up her room. She's and she's in there by herself because Q ain't there. She ain't call him. He don't even know she back, and her roommate isn't even there yet. So then Lex hits her up. Lex is Mo and Q's mutual friend, and only the people she rock with extra hard